Fight fans, welcome back. We are back. Apologies for not being on last week. I was away training at Team Carboon, which is Darren Till's home in his preparation for the UFC Liverpool Fight Night card. Can I just say, he's an absolute gorilla, as he states that he is, and I mean that. Absolute nightmare. Ferocious power and strong as an ox. He is a beast. Honestly, people, look out for him and the Fight Night card against Wonderboy. Will, I have to say, brother, what a show by Mr. Poirier and Gaethje of blood, guts, and glory. That was, man, that was non-stop. Non-stop. They didn't, don't get me wrong, the output was unreal. And 3 fights he's had now, Gaethje in the UFC. 302 head strikes he's received. Yeah. Now, I'm just putting it out there. It's not a good statistic. Now, I think Edmund Tavarian is probably sitting there thinking head movement. Yeah. But what do you think of the fight?
I think it totally delivered on every single aspect. That some people I've seen were saying this fight could... they weren't sure it was going to be as good as the Alvarez one, or they just didn't really have... Some people were saying it just wasn't going to be that great, and I was like, it's got everything to make it great. And when I was thinking last week, when I was watching some of Gaethje's old fights, I was thinking, right, he's had his first knockout loss. Eddie Alvarez maybe broke the chink in the armour to get to him. I thought, right, this might be where Justin Gaethje tries to turn it up, and he might change the game plan a little bit and maybe use some of that wrestling, which he's got. The guy just loves to throw and entertain fans, and he said that last night, that he's not going to change who he is. But honestly, if that guy wants to stay relevant in that division, he's going to have to change. There's no doubt about it, because if he was to get into wars with Barboza, could you imagine him against Barboza?
I don't think it'd go very well for him.
No, I don't think it would either.
That switch kick from Barboza to his liver.
Yeah. I seen a lot of people last night as well, when I was just on social media, people were saying, for the first 3 rounds, I gave Poirier rounds 1. Round 2 I thought was close, but I thought the more accumulation of damage. People were saying he was damaging his legs. Well, Poirier was mashing him with everything up top and was landing big headshots, and they were all accounting during that fight. And then 3rd round, I did think Gaethje was winning. Until he got the point deducted. And he got the point deducted, so it was a 9-9. So and then round 4 it started early, and Poirier was, I thought he fought really well last night. I think his leg kick defense is terrible, and how we didn't know that Gaethje was going to do that after watching him against Alvarez, peppering his legs in that one. Same with Johnson. And how he didn't try and stop that barrage of leg kicks, because literally if these two were just swing hands, Poirier was the more accurate, precise striker, and I think he would have got him out of there quicker if the leg kicks didn't accumulate into what it was. But Poirier is honestly one of my favourite all-time fighters. The guy's been in wars, and he's fought the who's who. He's beat former champion. I know he was there against Holloway in his career, but he fought McGregor. He's fought Swanson. He fought the Korean Zombie, and now he's moving into that upper echelon of the 155 division. Where I think he can beat some of the fighters in the top. He must be top 5 now. Khabib, Tony, Lee. Lee's not even a top 5 guy either. So he beats some of the guys in that top 5. I think he can give Khabib a good fight, actually. I think if he can survive early, somehow try and get some respect off Khabib on the feet, which I think he can personally, then he could make it dirty. And once it goes late, and if Khabib did what he did to Ali Akinta, then I think that he could pose some problems. I personally think that he will fight Khabib next, but I would like to see him against Eddie Alvarez. I still think they need to run that back. I still think that Poirier was going to beat Eddie Alvarez before that fight got stopped, in my opinion.
I think everyone believes that as well. I think even Eddie, if he wants to be honest with himself. Yeah,
it's all dependent on what happens with that crazy Irish bastard, what they're going to do with him. So if he comes back, it's obviously what they're going to do. But if not, you need to make that Poirier Alvarez fight. I just thought it was a great fight. I just thought both guys were going out there on their shield. I think at any moment Poirier could have went down, but he just I had the utmost confidence he was going to catch Gaethje with a shot, and that's why I put money on Dustin Poirier weeks and weeks and weeks ago. Because I thought the accumulation, and he looked in phenomenal shape, Poirier. When I seen him in that good a shape, I was like, I'm happy that I threw my money on this guy. Lots of people threw it on Gaethje, which I think wasn't a bad bet, honestly, because he could have went down. He could have put Dustin down any time. But I felt I was on the right side of that pick there, and putting money on him and then him coming through was a big thing last night. But I just thought, like I say, I tweeted last night, I wish every 6 months they could have a fight between those two, just because you could just like bring new people in and just say like, sit your ass down and watch this fight. and if you're not entertained by it, then never watch a fight ever again. So great fight.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it as well. I'd probably think Dustin Poirier gets next title fight against Khabib if you're looking at it from an actual perspective, and I'd give the winner of Barboza and Lee to Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah, that's what could happen.
That's what I'd probably do next. Because I think Holloway will obviously jump back down to 145 to have another defense of his belt, and then you'll see. We'll see what happens from there. But we don't know, like you say, with dickhead Conor and his actions. But anyway, let's go though to UFC Fight Night 128. It's an absolutely sick card. Like you say, headlined by Barboza and Kevin Lee. And while we're going to talk about this, you're all going to hit the subscribe button at the same time. I'm not forgetting. See, kind of came back to me. Subscribe below, people. Also, YouTube, SoundCloud, Twitter, whatever. Just get on, follow, subscribe, jump in, people. Always try to remember to do that. So, we'll start at the bottom, work our way up, bro. Here we go. First fight of the card. Tony Martin against Nakamura. Now, in a welterweight fight, which I'm not too overly hyped about, because Nakamura, for me, he's just a very good all-round competitor. You know, he's done it for years. Tony Martin, I don't know if he can beat Nakamura, and the reason why I say is, I just think Nakamura is just so crafty. I literally see him being able to outthink Tony Martin in the fight. Unless Tony Martin can bring something out the box to surprise Nakamura. That's the only way you beat Nakamura. He's a very sound, solid fighter who will get the 3-round decision in out the way. He's not a guy that goes in and does 10 first-round knockouts these days. He's just a very solid fighter. Look at the Tom Breeze fight as a good example. Tom Breeze is a big welterweight. He's now gone to middleweight, but Nakamura's able to stifle him. I can't see Tony Martin doing anything other than basically just getting outworked by Nakamura, just getting outfought. Like, maybe just out, even on a grappling aspect, I just don't know where I see Tony Martin win this. I got decision Nakamura for me. I don't know about yourself, but I don't see much going on here.
Close fight. It's a really close, interesting fight. I'm interested to see Martin up at 170 as well, so he's moving to a weight class. Now, I think he's going to be the bigger overall guy over someone like Nakamura, but like you say, Nakamura is so crafty, and just he doesn't really excel in anything, but he's really good at everything, especially if he can control you. And Tony Martin has kind of struggled a little bit being controlled, but I also think he could have certain parts of this fight where he could control Nakamura as well. I just think it's going to be close, and I'm edging towards Nakamura. I think he's had more of these fights where he's fought kind of bigger guys. He has dominated some of the bigger guys, like Tom Breeze. He could have probably won that fight, if I'm being honest with you. I like Nakamura. I'm going to go Nakamura as well to go a very close split decision.
Yeah, it's not a big gulf, but when it's fights like that, I always tend to go for Nak. It's just something about me. He's just got that knack to get it. Next up, cracking matchup. Dude signed up to the UFC. Ricky Simone made up for him. Okay, he's got a cracking matchup against. Here we go. The boy from Dana White's looking for a fighter. I was going to say it's not a contender series. Ricky Simone was on the contender series.
Yeah.
It's too many of these blinking bloody sub shows to get. So yeah, and Dash really is from the looking for a fighter one, who had like that spectacular wild 5-second KO win or whatever the heck it was. But he came in, lost his debut, but even still, it's a cracking matchup. How do you see this one going?
Good fight. I think it's good matchmaking between the two as well. I gave Merab his fight. He lost to Frankie Saenz. I thought he actually won that fight, but he's
Hard
gassed.
match. That's a hard
Yeah,
fight to come into for your
yeah,
first one. Like, Frankie's a
yeah,
tough boy.
yeah. He's an older guy as well. He's been around the block. He knows what to do to win fights. His gas tank really didn't look that great towards the end of that fight. And against a guy like Ricky here, who it's a guy that I think some people will know about, and some people will just have no clue who this guy is whatsoever. Fought in the Dana White show. He fought Khalil's little brother, that Donovan Freelo, and beat him. I don't think he was overly great that fight. Went out on the regionals again and beat Chico Camus, who is a UFC veteran. That's the kind of wins you need in your record to get noticed. And then I think someone fell out. I think it was Tanquinho fell out, and then he got the opportunity to come in here. But Ricky's a really, really good guy. Won belts, defended his belts as well, which I always think is pretty important coming from the regionals. Very good in his feet. Throws an insane amount of combinations and goes after the body. I love fighters that go after the body. Kind of like Eddie Alvarez, we're talking about earlier on. He did that to Justin Gaethje and he broke him down. That's a sure. If you can invest in those shots early and hurt him early, later in the fight, that's going to come back to help you. And it was kind of like what Poirier did with the headshots last night. He just take one precise shot and he put him down. And this guy attacks the body. I love that. Brilliant leg kick, kind of similar to what Gaethje's got, but he's also really, really solid on the feet, and he throws from not on the feet. He's really good on the ground, but the last thing I was going to say, he's good with his angles on the feet. But he is just as good as wrestling to back up his striking as well.
Yes.
So, and that's something that I think he's got an advantage. I think Merab's really good on the ground as well with his grappling. I think Ricky's going to be better. I think he's going to take a lot out of Merab in the first round, 2 rounds, and eventually I think he'll get takedowns. But eventually I think that he will just wear out Merab just by the better overall fighter, and I think he'll win a decision. Potentially a stoppage, but I think Merab has got a lot of toughness to him. But I think there's a high ceiling for Ricky in the UFC.
Yeah, I interviewed Ricky a little while back on when he's like saying the regional scene fighting, and he is one of those guys who's evolved leaps and bounds. His grappling was one of his key things. His wrestling, he has got very strong wrestling. Like, he can ragdoll guys. I've seen him do it. He is a very good wrestler. And again, the problem with Merab is he will want to get that kind of grappling aspect going. Like, he will, when Ricky's starting to lay off those kind of combinations on you, Merab will want to close distance, get him against the cage, and just to stop Ricky doing that. I think the problem he'll have is he'll get Ricky onto the cage, but he won't be able to get Ricky down. And then they'll have that underhook battle. They'll fight for position on the cage. Ricky will try to obviously reverse the position to break off, to carry on the combinations. And it's really tiring. It is exhausting to get someone on the cage, then just breaking off and starting again. It's very disheartening. I can fully see Ricky do that a couple of times, especially then coming to the later rounds. Just really start to just pile on those shots. And like you say, if Merab's gas was maybe, we could put it down to maybe an adrenaline dump, UFC jitters. We could put it down to that, which I would not put past that. But let's just say if it wasn't that, and it was maybe a potential thing that he has got, those body shots early on, if Ricky can land a few, I think it will pay dividends in the third when he will be able to really let off a lot of combos and just overwhelm Merab to get a decision win. I think Merab's a bit too tough to get finished at the moment, but I think Ricky has got more than enough to get a 30-27, 30-27 easy across the board here to get the victory. Next up, we have the ladies who are headlining the prelims. We have Leslie Smith, who I've got to admit, she looks alright when she's, not fight, when she's not got a warrior face on, when she's all dolled up and she's doing interviews on Invicta. I was like, who's that? Leslie Smith. She's fighting Aspen Ladd. So this is changing. It's like a changing of the guard, Will. You've got your old school against your new school. Like I love Leslie Smith. That girl is a warrior. She will fight anyone, anytime, and she will fight. She'll have her head hanging off, half her head hanging off, and she'll still be like, "Yep, I'm good. Let's go." It's like, that girl is too tough for her own good. I love that about her. She's gritty. She's just a nightmare to fight against. Aspen Lad is almost like a different version, a complete opposite, where she's very technical, she's very clean, she's very much using footwork, lots of striking, beautiful. I think Aspen Lad's got very good striking. I think it's getting better and better all the time. She's got good aggression and good angles to cut away with. I think that we'll see. We'll see Aspen Ladd catching Leslie Smith a bit too often in this fight. As I can see Aspen Ladd just being the quicker fighter, just being a cleaner fighter with the striking, and I think she'll land some of the better shots in the fight and get away with this decision win. And I think it will be one of them ones where Leslie's reacting just a bit too slow and maybe missing on the counter strikes, for example, and not coming off the better out of the two. And that's how I see it going. I think Aspen Ladd, I think Leslie can maybe poach around if she's just going in the first round, just goes all out. But I can definitely see 3-round fight. I'm going to go with Aspen Ladd getting the decision here.
I think Aspen needs to mix it up. I think she can't. Leslie Smith loves to have a brawl. If you're going to stand in front and throw, then you're playing right into the wheelhouse of Leslie Smith, and she's long, she's got a high output, and that's something that can break fighters. She did that in Glasgow against Amanda Lemos. She started off really well, and then once Leslie started to find a range and she started to figure out what Amanda was doing, she began, and remember as well, Amanda Lemos popped for steroids or stuff after that fight and got a ban as well. So she's against the girl who was taking stuff, but she was like, I really enjoyed that. That was a great. I think it was the first fight of the night as well in Glasgow. It really set off for a really good night. But that's what Aspen has to do. I think she has to establish herself on the feet, hit Leslie with a couple of shots, get respect there, and then when she gets the opportunity, mix up, get takedowns. Because I think that Leslie Smith does leave openings. I think if you can have a well-timed takedown or even into a clinch against the fence, you can get her down, fall down for a single leg. You can get her to the ground. I think that's what she has to do. Can she stop it? I think she can if Amanda starts to our energy starts to wane, but she's a woman that keeps on going. So I'm going to go Aspen Ladd. I'm going to go via decision, but I think there could be a couple of hairy moments in that fight for Aspen Ladd if she doesn't fight smart, which I think she will. But I'm going to go. I feel more confident picking Aspen Ladd here.
Yeah, it's going to be a good fight. Honestly, I think anytime Leslie Smith fights, there's always a good moment in there with her fights. She's one of them girls I'll always look forward to watching. Next up in the light heavyweight division, the guys who are outside that perennial kind of top echelon, your Corey Anderson, your Patrick Cummins. Patrick Cummins for me is a guy that I've never been big up on. He got into the UFC because of a history he had with Daniel Cormier, stepping in short notice. He's trying to put a bit of a personality, making himself out there, and he's making the most of it. I don't think his striking's great. His wrestling's very good. Always give him credit for his wrestling. But Corey Anderson, he's almost like a carbon copy of Patrick Cummins. I think this is going to be a sad bout to watch, because I think you're going to see two guys who aren't great at striking having to strike. Because I think they'll both try to get each other down. They can't. I think you might see the pair of them just fighting each other off and getting that underhook battle. I think you'll see a lot of cage work. I think you'll see 15 minutes on the cage of just fighting to get each other down. And when they do split up, they'll be striking. But I don't think we'll see great striking. I think we'll see each other striking to get in for the takedown. I'm not overly fussed on this fight, mate, myself. I'd probably go for Corey Anderson on this one, but again, it's a tough one. What's your thoughts on this one, bro?
Yeah, it's not a fight I'm not overly invested in, to be honest with you. I think that the way I look at it is that the losses that Corey Anderson's got are to legit ranked guys in that division. So OSP, when he turns up, he can put your lights out, which he did. He was winning that fight, by the way. Corey Anderson. I think
Corey was,
late in the third round.
Late in the third, and that head kick just
and that head kick landed. So if that went to decision, I had him winning at UFC.
And that was late in the third as well. That was like last 2 minutes, I think it was. It wasn't far off.
Yeah, and then the Jimmy fight, there was nothing in that fight. He got caught with a leaping left hand and he went down. Yeah. That's the one thing with Corey Anderson. His chin, you just have to find his chin. He's like Diego Lima last night. Now I know he got out grappled by Okami, but all you have to do is really land one shot on these type of guys, and they will go down and they won't get back up.
No.
Pat Cummins hasn't got that type of power that's going to do that, so it's going to turn into a sloppy fight where I look at intangibles on both sides here. So I'm looking Corey Anderson. I think he's a more athletic guy. I think he's the longer guy. I think he's the faster hands and the longer jab, and I think he's going to use that. And Pat Cummins is terrible striking defense, and so he's going to. I think he's going to hit him, and then it's going to turn into a sloppy grappling fest, and they're going to try and see if they can get each other down. I don't think they can. I think maybe Corey is the stronger guy, but I think Cummins is. I've never been sold on Patrick Cummins really, but the guy's won a couple of fights in the UFC, albeit not against. He beat Blachowicz, but Blachowicz
he wasn't good pretty bad. He had a rough patch, didn't he? So,
but this is like light heavyweights. Just who the fuck knows what goes on in that division. Jan Blachowicz is a top 5 light heavyweight now, so it's like 2 fights from now, if Pat Cummins wins another one, he could be a top 5 guy. It's crazy.
Bonkers.
So I'm going to go Corey Anderson. I think that he's just more athletic. I think he's got more tools. I think he's got more striking, which I think will show. But I think that Cummins has a lot of heart. I think he's got a lot of determination, so he's going to keep himself in there. Can take a high amount of punishment as well. So I'm going to go Corey Anderson via decision, though.
Yeah, he's got that kind of wrestling mentality, that kind of just grind it out, take it until like just keep going until you stop me kind of thing. Yeah, he does. But next up we have a welterweight fight, which I have got for potential fight of the night violence. This one, we've got Zaire Bahadurzada. There we go, against Luan Chagas. Mate, this is going to be an absolute belter. Go on, break that shit down.
I'm a big fan of Luan Chagas. I think he's I don't think he's overly that old. I think he's mid-20s, maybe not even that, 24. I think I read that earlier on. So he's a young guy.
Yeah.
I think he's got a lot of, and we haven't really seen that much of him. He's only had 3 fights in the UFC. He drew with Sergio Moraes. He lost to Eric Silva, which was, I think he was winning that fight and then got caught. And then he beat Judo Jimmy last time out and submitted him. I think the guy's really, really solid in kind of every aspect. He's a really hard guy to put away. And I just think I've got a funny feeling this is going to be his coming out part here, where he beats a guy. Now, Sayar is a guy that he's been around a long time. He's been in the UFC for like 5 years, but he's only fought like 3 times, 3-4 times. Maybe
really unlucky with injuries, like bad on the look.
Yeah, and like his wins, Paulo Thiago at the time. This was 2012. Paulo Thiago back then was actually decent. Caught him with a nice shot. Then his next win was 2016, which was 4 years later, against Brandon Thatch, and we all know how Brandon Thatch fights. If he doesn't get you, you're going to get him. So, and then Rob Wilkinson, I don't rate that guy at all. No. And that was at 185. This is 170, so he's got to make that big weight cut down to 170.
Yeah, he is big for 170.
He's going to be a bit depleted. I think this could end up being an absolute brawl, actually. I think these two could start trading. And I'm not ruling out Sayar because he has some power and he has some good technique as well. He's fought a lot over there. I think he came up through Holland, so he was up through with probably the best strikers that the sport and Muay Thai and kickboxing has ever seen. I just think that Chagas is going to plant his feet and he's going to catch Sayar, get that respect early, and I think he's going to be he's going to be one step ahead the entire fight. Can I see him finishing Sayar? I don't think so. Sayar is a really tough guy, so I'm going to go Luan Chagas to win via decision. Yeah,
Chagas is a southpaw as well, which plays a big factor. Because whenever you fight a southpaw, it's those angles are a bit different, those shots come a bit different. You've got to, if you're fighting a southpaw and you're an orthodox guy, you've got to have your foot on the outside of their lead foot. You've got to be on the left-hand side of them. That's something that a lot of fighters don't do. It's something that you see often, and I think it's a very simple thing to learn in 6-week fight camp, to get your foot on the outside. Always start your combinations with your foot on the outside. If they're coming at you and they're starting with a combination, you need to get straight away, move to the outside of that so your head's out the alignment and it's harder. The damage is far less. But I think Chagas, he's got nice combinations when he, like, for example, the Jimmy Wallhead fight was the best one to show, because he would just nice, good combinations, hands up the block, good blocking, and he's forward, he's just coming forward. But so does Zaire, so that's beautiful. I think the pair of them are just going to come at each other, and it's going to be 1-for-1, like combinations. And I think, like you say, Chagas uses that jab really well to open up opportunities for the combinations, and I think that's where he'll just pick away at Zaire a bit more, and I think we're going to see blood, guts, and a hell of a fight. I think it's got a potential 3-round war. I can't wait to see this one go down. I'm going with Chagas as well, because I think this kid's got a really good high potential rating here in the welterweight division. Very exciting. I can't wait to see what he's like in 2 years' time. Can't wait to see where he is as well, who he's fighting in 2 years. He's going to be easily pushing top 15 in a couple of years. Easy, putting damage on people. Next up in the flyweight division, gotta love our flyweights. Those little skinny whippets running around. It's awesome. You wonder how humans can be that small, but they are. So we've got up a beast in Magomed Bibulatov. Bibulatov. There you go. And then you got Sasaki. Now Sasaki, I like Sasaki. I like this kid. Like, he's a bit yo-yoing in his performances, but there's just something about this dude I like. I think he's an entertaining flyweight. I think he's a good character in that division. I think the one thing, he's a really tall bloody flyweight. He's a big, long dude for that weight class. But he's fighting a guy who, I gotta admit, I know Magomed got knocked out by who just fought. He just fought this weekend as well. Gosh, who was
Moraga.
Moraga, thank you. That was it. Yeah. And Moraga cracked him and dropped him. So that kind of, for me, kind of put me on a bit of an alert, because I got a bit worried about that. I thought, not often Moraga doesn't go knocking people out all the time. Like, he's not. And I think, what are you cutting yourself too much? Is that why your chin's getting, or like what's the reason for that? He's got a guy in Saki. He's not the big knockout guy. He's not a knockout artist, so he might get away with it in this fight. He might be okay with this one, but I think he should definitely use the wrestling. Get Sasaki down, long legs, tall dude, just grind him out, and I think we might see that. I think we'll see a 3-round win. He does throw. Megamod does throw good strikes, good combinations. He does throw good stuff. A bit wild, a little bit sporadic combinations. It does work, but I think if he uses wrestling to get Sasaki down, I think we'll see we should see a 3-round win here, 30-27 across the board. If he plays it like that, I don't see anything other than that win. I think Sasaki's a fun dude, and he'll cause some problems, but I can't see anything other than that, really.
Yeah, I'm on Bibulatov as well. I just think that it's a good rebound fight from after Moraga. And Moraga, he's kind of a yo-yo fighter now. He's kind of going, he's ascending upwards. I actually thought, like that fight last night, I wasn't too sure. I thought Wilson Heiss, if that fight was anywhere else, I think he could have won that fight. Wilson Heiss took him down, got advanced positions.
It was a good fight.
It was a great fight. It was a really fun fight. One I really enjoyed. I'm a fan of both guys. Wilson
that flying knee.
Yeah,
Woo!
I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of both of those guys. And whatever happened, I never bet the fight. I picked Wilson to win the fight, but it is what it is. It's either way. I think the loss actually for Bibulatov is not a bad thing. He's got that monkey off his back. He's not undefeated anymore. Now he has to come in and re-establish himself. And I think he can do it. I think he's just overall a really solid fighter. He's got really good, solid boxing. He outstruck Janelle Lauza, and Janelle Lauza is predominantly a boxer and a really, really solid boxer. And he outboxed the boxer really, really well. Took him down when he wanted to. The thing is with Sasaki, he beats guys who are not great and can make mental lapses in fights and give you opportunities to win the fights. Like, I know he nearly caught Wilson Heiss in a submission, but you're not going to get a guy like that out of there. Beat Willie Gates and Justin Scoggins. Justin Scoggins is a great fighter, but has serious mental lapses. And once he sticks his head in there, the one thing you don't do with Sasaki is because he's limbed. You don't put your head or a body part into somewhere where you can get caught. And Justin Scoggins is terrible for that. Anybody with any sort of submission skills is going to catch you with that. But when you look at his losses, Wilson Heiss, Jose Formiga, these guys are top-notch guys. Formiga, they're top of the division. he's losing to those guys. I see Bablatov being up there eventually. Not yet. I think he's still got a long way to go, but I just think he's the better overall fighter. I think he's got more tools, better striker. I think he's better grappler. As long as he doesn't make any mental mistakes, he beats Ulka Sasaki here. Don't see a finish. So, in fact, actually, I'm going to go with a finish. I think he's going to wear on Sasaki and ground and pound him out, maybe in the second, early third round.
Nice, I like it. Okay, headlining the prelims for the event is Ryan LaFleur against Alex Garcia. Welterweight matchup. Now, it's good kind of things to come at this for someone if they get a win here. Obviously, a big name will come out after it. But what do you see happening on in this bout?
I've never been the biggest fan of Ryan LaFleur. I think he's a solid overall fighter. There's nothing. I think his grappling is really good.
Yeah.
That's his kind of main aspect of his game. Striking, I think it's something he's worked on with Henry Hooft over the years, but it's never going to really be on par with what his grappling is. And there is opportunities where you can hit this guy with power. Alex Garcia, I was going to say Alex Oliveira there. I've still got him in my mind from last night. He's a guy, I'm a bit up and down on him. I see spots where he wins fights and he can fight very well, like he did in the Salikov fight. That was the fight everybody was on Salikov, and I was like, this guy has holes in his game that Garcia can take advantage of. I find it hard to see him taking Ryan LaFleur down, and I think this is going to be really sloppy on the feet. Garcia has the bigger power, so he could hit you at any time and put you down like he did against Mike Pyle. Now, Mike Pyle doesn't take a shot very well, never did. No. But this, I think, is going to be really close. I've got split decision written all over it. I want Alex Garcia to win personally. I have a feeling Ryan LaFleur is going to get the nod, but my pick, I'm going to pick Alex Garcia. Like I say, I'm not overly confident. I just think it's going to be I think it's going to be a shit show with these two. It's going to be really sloppy, and I wouldn't like to be a judge in this fight personally.
I'm going to go with Alex Garcia, and I think he'll finish Ryan LaFleur. I do. I think he'll finish Ryan LaFleur. I've seen it in previous fights with Ryan LaFleur. I just think there's something about him where I'm not sure if it's his chin going or something, or it's obviously potentially the fighters he's obviously facing or getting their technique right with the strikes they're landing. But I just think that the slight kind of erratic, kind of wild shots that Alex Garcia can sometimes throw, I can see it landing on Ryan LaFleur. I don't think Ryan LaFleur's got the footwork and movement like for example, like a really good boxer or something like that to keep out the way of all of them. And I really can see an Alex Garcia knockout. And I think it can happen at any time, but I can see it certainly happen in the latter rounds when they're a bit more tired. And Alex Garcia just kind of goes for that little blitz. You know, he's like, get my energy back, get my breath back. Okay. And then that just throws it out. And then just, you know, you see him recharge. I can just see it like that. I can just see something, one of them hitting him, knocking Ryan LaFleur on a bit of Queer Street, and then Alex Garcia just going in for the kill. I can see it happening anytime, but predominantly I can see it happening certainly in the third round. I've just got Alex Garcia knockout there. I just don't want to. I just past few fights I've watched of Ryan LaFleur's, I just feel there's something There's something given here, and I think it's happening. Yeah, definitely. Next up, we have a matchup I'm really looking forward to. Again, it's almost like before with the Leslie Smith fight and Aspen Ladd fight. You got Jim Miller against Dan Hooker. You know, you got Dan Hooker's rising up the ranks, and Jim Miller's been up there for so long. It's almost like is there potential another changing of the guard bout? Jim Miller, you know, he's in a bit of a rough spot. He's like, the last thing you want is when you need a win is to fight someone like Dan Hooker, who's looking phenomenal at lightweight. He's long. He's got good combinations. He's good on the ground. Dan Hooker's just a violent, aggressive fighter. Jim Miller, he's got good boxing, and he likes to come in and get the good boxing going. He's got great grappling when he's on the ground. Jim Miller's got some brilliant jiu-jitsu. But man, I just think it's a hard match for Jim. I think it's going to be a bad day at the office for Jim. I think we might see the last outing for Jim Miller in the UFC. I can just see Dan Hooker stopping Jim Miller. I think Dan Hooker's just going to crack him, and he's going to put him out in the first round. I don't know what it is. Don't ask me. Just footage I'm watching, random feel. I think Jim's wanting to get this down to the ground, absolutely. But I just think Dan Hooker's going to get away with a first round finish, people. I'm putting it out there. I'm going crazy. I'm going bananas. I'm going wild. First round finish, Dan Hooker. You heard it here. What's your thoughts on it, bro?
I think Jim Miller is definitely on his last kind of legs on his career, and it's a pretty phenomenal career the guy's carved out for himself.
Yeah.
So a lot of fights in the biggest organisation against every big name you could pretty much imagine.
Never turned anyone.
Yeah, he's really only lost to solid fighters. I mean, Poirier, Pettis, Chiesa, Darius, Cerrone, they're decent fighters and they're very relevant fighters today. But when you look at his last 3 wins, Thiago Alves should never, ever, ever attempted to go down to 155.
It was horrendous.
Joe Lozon, we can see that
either one of them could have won.
Yeah,
because both of them were on that
level. I actually thought Lozon won that fight as well, to be honest with you. I thought it was vice versa. I thought that Miller should have the first fight between them and Lozon should have the second. Takanori Gomi, it seems to be a guy that you see every week now that somebody's beat Takanori Gomi, and everybody beat Takanori Gomi toward the end of his UFC run.
Everyone wants to fight him.
Yeah, so it's. I mean, I thought he fought well against Francisco Trinaldo personally. I thought he went down to himself,
he did well considering,
gave himself a really good outing down there. But you've always got everything against you when you go down there. And Trinaldo's a tough guy to fight anyway. We've seen that in the James Vick fight. He's a horrible guy to face. Yeah. I think that Dan Hooker, I think, is a bit of a flaky fighter. Sometimes he performs really well, like in the Ross Pearson fight. I thought he fought really well. The Diakese fight, I thought he did actually fought really well in that one as well, considering all the hype was probably on Mark, and he just fought really solidly. And then when he got the opportunity to finish the fight, he did it. He's the bigger guy. He's got the bigger reach. I think he can pepper him with Jim with leg kicks. I think he can beat him to the punch quicker. Now Dan Hooker takes a lot of shots as well, but Jim Miller's not a guy that's going to knock you out with one shot. So I think that Dan Hooker just has to be careful very early. I think he has to take it the last couple of rounds, do everything to really tire out Jim Miller. And I think eventually he could catch him with a knockout punch or a knockout knee in the clinch possibly. I see it going to decision, but I'm picking Dan Hooker.
Nice, okay, like it. Next up is a fight we both have a bit of invested interest in, so to speak. Bantamweight division, Aljamain Sterling, Brett Johns. How are you looking at this bout? I was so stoked when I heard it get announced, but how are you looking at this?
Yeah, outside the main event, this is the fight that I've got my eyes on big time. We heard about this before it got announced, and it was a fight instantly. I thought this is the perfect matchup for Brett Johns against the guy who I still think's got a lot of ambition in the division, and he could do something, but he's also shown a lot of flaws in his game, which I think that Brett Johns can potentially. People are sleeping on Brett Johns still, because I think he's a quiet guy, but he's a guy who's undefeated. People forget about that. So, and it's not like before he went to UFC, he was winning titles in America, in Europe against decent guys as well, and he's just a solid overall fighter. I think his win over Joe Soto was, nobody's seen that coming, let's be honest, like 30-second submission against a guy like Joe Soto who is a grappler and a really good jiu-jitsu practitioner as well. Totally outworked Albert Morales. I think he was very disappointed he didn't get a finish there, but he completely dominated the fight. The Kwang Ho Kwak fight I really enjoyed in Belfast when we were there. Solid fighter overall, but I think his grappling, this is where I think Aljo's going to want to stand here. I personally, I think Aljamain Sterling's he's going to be thinking he's better everywhere against Brett Johns grappling, because that's why when I think of Aljo Sterling, I think grappling. I think he does have really funky grappling, really strong, solid wrestling. But I think he's coming back too soon after that. Like, that knockout in December was horrible. It's one of those ones you take 6 to 9 months off over it.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to turn himself into a striker, and like he fights long with his kicks, tries to keep you on the outside, and if it goes to the grappling, then he thinks he can out grapple you. But we've seen in the Brian Caraway fight 2 years ago, that if you can get him in positions and keep him there, and he couldn't, Brian Caraway put him in positions where he couldn't manoeuvre from, and you can out-grapple this guy. I thought the Aston South fight was very close as well. I thought he had a shout in that fight. But Brett Jones, I think people are going to completely underestimate him in this fight with his grappling. UK, British guys, Welsh guys, that's coming over, and his grappling's not going to be that good. And his grappling is absolutely shit hot. And this is where I think Aljo's going to completely underestimate him as well here. And I think that Brett, I really don't think has anything to worry about in the feet with Aljo, because he hasn't got that one-shot knockout power. We've seen that Aljo's chin's been checked, so he can maybe hit him with a good shot. I want to see these two get into a grappling situation. I think initially Aljo might do okay, but I think Brett can go hard for 15 minutes, and I think he can churn out that 15 minutes. He's did it over 5 rounds as well, I think, before, didn't he?
Yes.
So he can do it for 25 minutes. After 10 minutes, I think he starts to break Aljamain Sterling with his grappling. So I'm going to pick, and he could get a finish, but I'm going to go another decision win here for Brett Jones. I just think it's a really solid, good matchup, and I think this is going to be a good betting opportunity as well. That's what I think. But I'm going to go Brett Jones for the win.
I've got to say, people underestimate Brett Jones. What they also don't know is Brett Jones' dad was a black belt in judo, and Brett Jones has like this a really strong high level of judo background. So as well as the wrestling, he has the judo. So it's a combination. It's like, again, it's a weird mix of judo and wrestling. Now, judo gives you a really strong base, and judokas are fucking nightmares to get down, people. I can tell you that because I've grappled with black belts, and they're horrendous to try and get down. It's like lifting a massive crater. It doesn't move. You just, honestly, you grip them, you pull them, and you're like, what? And Brett will be the same. You'll have a really hard base for Aljamain to try and lift and move. So you'll have his reversals. Like if Aljamain comes in to try and get him down, you'll have the judo reversals, and then he'll have the wrestling as well to get him down. Like you say, the Albert Morales fight, he showed that he's got good dominant top position and can stay active, because the referee didn't stand him up enough, because Brett was active, little short elbows, pops, kept him crammed up against the cage, as dominant on top. Then you look at the Quack fight, boxing, can box for days, kickboxing, can use his hands all day long, will stand toe to toe, happy to do that. And like you say, you got to think, so it's, let's see, December, so it's been effectively 4 months. It's been 4 months, has been, since the knockout for Aljamain. In the 4 months, he's had a fight camp. In the fight camp, he's had to do sparring. So if you think you've had a pretty heavy knockout, you've only had 4 weeks recovery when you're straight back to fight camp, and you've got to spar within that first month. So he's he's been straight away back sparring. That's not good. Like you want to have 4 months no sparring, or if you're sparring, like head guard 50%. You know, you've got to take a break off of that brain, but he's not had a break off it, and that's my fear. That's what's playing on my mind. I'm thinking, Brett will crack. Brett will crack you, and if you've not been recovered right, doesn't matter. I don't care what your fitness is. Your body doesn't recover in time. So yeah, I'm going with Brett. I think he might rock Sterling a couple of times, and I think that might put Sterling a little bit on like backing off. It might back him off a little bit. It might put him off. But I've got to go Brett decision. I think Brett's really going to go right under the radar and surprise a lot of people. Absolutely. I think Aljamain's got a lot of good stuff about him. I love Aljamain. He's a lovely guy. I just got a feeling that Brett's just got a little bit more in him on an overall kind of basis. Next up, we have a middleweight bout, which is huge for both parties. David Branch against Thiago Santos. Now, David Branch came in to the UFC from World Series of Fighting, and a little bit of, he got thrown in the mix straight away because 2-time champ UFC went, right, okay, if you swim with the Sharks, let's go. Now, the Luke Rockhold fight, he did okay. He lost in the end, but Thiago Santos is a horrible fight for you. Like any man, I think anyone fighting Thiago, I think Thiago Santos lost to Gegard Mousasi by making a silly, simple mistake by not focusing and switching off. Eric Spicely, who was losing to Eric Spicely, he was just switched off. Thiago Santos has now learned his lesson. He's been burnt twice. I don't think we see him switch off again. I think we now see a Thiago Santos who sees everyone as a killer and realises that everyone's got a chance. And David Branch has got the grappling and submission game that could catch Thiago Santos down. I don't think we see Thiago hit that mat. I think Thiago knows, I ain't going down mat, son. We're staying up. I'm going to hit you so hard. I'm going to send you into the next millennium. And I really see David Branch just getting lit up for 2 rounds. I think Branch can fight back. He can take a hit. But I think it would just wear him down. The power that Thiago has. I think maybe second. I think Branch might get to his second. But I think a stoppage. But I'm going TKO Thiago Santos all day.
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting fight. It's another one I'm looking forward to, because I see a lot of people on Thiago Santos, and I'm one of those guys as well. I like Thiago a lot, but I'm actually going to go with Dave Branch in this one. I think that he's got that spoiler kind of game plan that can what he has to do again, and Thiago's going to eventually catch him and follow up with something and put him out. I think that now Krzysztof Jotko is a guy I was fairly high on, and I think that guy's going to be lucky if he's still in the UFC after last night. So that's the kind of game plan I think he's going to want to implement here. Now he's against a totally different guy in Krzysztof Jotko. He's against a guy who's got baseball bats for legs, and if he starts swinging those things, he doesn't even have to hit you with. He doesn't even, if you're defending him, he can still put you out by breaking your arms and doing all types of shit. I don't think Dave Branch has been bad in his UFC career. I think the Jotko one wasn't great, but he did what he had to do to win. He's coming back after losing many moons ago in the UFC, so he had to kind of re-establish that respect that he's got by fighting out in the World Series of Fighting. The Rockhold fight, I thought he started really well. Caught Rockhold with some good shots, but then that guy's got some legendary top game. Once he got him there, he just kind of destroyed David Branch. He doesn't have to worry about that with Thiago Santos. He just got to worry about not getting hit with big shots. And we've seen Thiago Santos, Jack Marshman caught him with a really good shot, backed him up.
Yeah.
So Branch could possibly have a little bit of success in the feet. I think that Dave Branch is going to initially survive the barrage, and then I think he's going to start to wear on Thiago Santos, and I think he's going to win. I think he's going to submit him in the third. So I'm going to go David Branch for a third round, nice. Rear naked choke or a arm triangle. That's how I see this fight going. I would actually prefer for Thiago Santos to win, because I think he matches up with a lot of guys, fun guys in that division higher up. Yeah. Say like a Derek Brunson or so on. That could be a great fight.
Yeah.
But I've got a feeling that Dave Branch is going to play a spoiler here, and I'm going to pick him to win this one.
Ooh, nice. Your camera's froze, so bro, if you can switch your camera off and put it back on again.
I do that all the time. How do I do that again? Ah, there we go. Where are we? Alright. Camera. Off.
On. There we go. There it is. Okay. Yeah, so that is the matchup, Branch and Santos. Next up, we have a heavyweight matchup. I think this is going to be violence, because Chase Sherman against Justin Willis. Chase just likes to brawl. He's like a Justin Gaethje. It's the best way to describe it. He's the heavyweight Justin Gaethje. He will just stand and bang and stand and bang. And I really get frustrated with Chase, because he's got a lot in there where he should win fights a lot easier than he makes out. And he just has to bother to stop being the big bollocks, Billy Big Bollocks, and just step out a bit. Just stand away. Just get out of the way of the combos. You're massive. You're really long. You hit people. Then get out of the way. We know you can take a hit. You'll have to show us. Against Justin Willis. Justin's a big boy. Remember we saw him in Glasgow. Woo,
yeah,
that boy he is thick set.
Yeah.
Woo. Well, with this ain't going to the ground, I think Chase is just going to be peppering at him, and Justin's just going to time it and just counter him. It's going to be a counter for Justin because he's not as athletic. He's not going to be as athletic. He's not going to be as quick, but he can catch Chase. Chase is there to be caught because I don't know if Chase has learned his lesson to just move out the way. I'm going to go with Justin Willis finishing Chase. I think Chase has taken too many hits in the head too many times. And it's catching up, and I think Justin's just going to counter and catch him back. He's going to catch him either in the first or second round with a combo because Chase is going to come in. I think Chase will land a couple of shots and get confidence building up, and he'll feel overly confident and stay there a bit too long on a couple of the combos, and that's when I think Justin will come back and then start to really just land a heavy shot, planting them feet, and just he's a big heavyweight. I think that power's going to come through, and I think he's going to hurt Chase. It's going to be a wild fight though. It's going to be a lot of heavy leather.
Yeah, it's I think of the fight like Chase Sherman. I think a lot of pressure's on him to win this fight. Personally, for me, I think he got knocked. Like Shamil Abdurakhimov knocked him out, and that guy. To be honest, I know he's a heavyweight. The guy really kind of has pillow fist for a heavyweight. He has some decent technique sometimes, I think, but he's not got that thudding power that he's never showed he's had that thudding power, and he caught him, and like he got knocked out really, really badly in that one. Like you say, Justin Willis is a really thick guy, and not saying he's a big guy, but he's like wide, and
he's like Cormier.
Yeah, he's got a lot of power there. You can see that he's a hard guy, I think, to put away. I just think he has to time it right. I think he has to be patient. Sherman has some pretty decent leg kicks. I think he has to work quite hard to stand outside and pepper him from there. Pretty much like what you were saying. But I just think it takes the one shot from Justin Willis to really turn this fight. And once he does that, he could easily put this guy out. Chase Sherman's been knocked out a couple of times in the UFC. Justin Willis hasn't shown that he's got that big power except for his last fight against Alan Crowder, who I think is a blown up heavyweight that deserves to be down at 205. So I'm going to go Justin Willis. I'm going to go for TKO as well. Just think that he just needs that one shot. I think he could. I don't know whether he might get. Now he comes from AK, so he's working with DC, and he's probably a decent grappler. He's got decent takedown defense himself. Sherman used to be a former football player, so he's quite hard to get down. But I can see him potentially pushing him against the cage, keeping him there for long spells of the fight, and then once they disengage, I think he could catch him with that big shot and just wear him out once he starts getting worn out. So I'm going to go Justin Willis in the second round.
Next up, co-main event of the evening, a man who's come back a bit too early in our opinion. I think he should have stepped out a little bit longer, but whatever. Can't keep this man down. Can't stop this man. He's a freight train. Frank Edgar taking on Cub Swanson. Break that down, Will.
This fight is such a sketchy fight, and it shouldn't be like that for the simple reason that Frank Edgar absolutely demolished Cub Swanson in the last fight, and that was over 5 rounds. I think he finished him with like 3 seconds left in the fight, and he absolutely beat the living shit out of Cub Swanson. And this time they've got it over 3 rounds. But there's some factors for this one here, that the fact that Frankie got knocked out for the first time, mentally that's going to play in him because he knows that with the right shot he can go down. He lost his dad 2 weeks ago, which is, who knows where his head's at regarding that. And the fact he only got knocked out viciously 6 weeks ago by Brian Ortega.
Bonkers.
So I'm seeing people bet Frankie Edgar, and I can see why they're doing it, because he has clearly got better. He's clearly got a path to victory against Cub Swanson, because he did it once before. He can do it again, and over a shorter range of time. But there's so many things, red flags in his corner in this fight, that I would go absolutely. If people are asking me one guy not to bet, it's Frankie Edgar, and it's weird saying that because the guy wins fights in the UFC regardless. But there's so many things just not in his favour in this matchup mentally, and coming back too soon, far too soon. Let's be honest, far too soon. Even like I think Cub Swanson need to take a little bit extra time off, and I mean.
We saw what happened with Bisping and Kelvin Gastelum is the best example. You know, it's not worth the money they get paid is nowhere near worth the risk. Like, I do know a lot of fighters though have been bullied to come back into the UFC because of the matchmakers verbally said, "Take the fight, or we don't want you." Like that happens. So that's one worrying thing. You think, Like, the Machida came back too early, and they basically kind of coerced Machida come back early against the Eric Anders fight. There's guys that come back too early, and I think you don't pay. I'd be like, you don't pay me enough to come back early. Like, I am getting my face smashed in for pennies. No chance, mate. I'm waiting until I'm fit. And I don't know, maybe it's Frankie just wanted to get back in, to get in there, and win and get that off. Like, what? I don't know. I don't care. But Frankie, man, it's a shame. But yeah, so how do you see it actually going down, though?
I find it hard to pick Cub Swanson, so it's not. I'm going to pick Frankie to win the fight. I just have no.
Yeah.
He has a skill set that can totally stifle Cub Swanson, because he can compete with him on the feet, and when it comes to grappling, I think we've seen that Cub Swanson can be dominated by wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys.
Yeah.
Predominantly, that's his kryptonite. And if Frankie wants to take you to the ground, he's going to take you to the ground, and he's going to beat up Cub Swanson. I actually thought this was Cub Swanson's last fight in his deal, but it's actually the Brian Ortega one was, so he's actually re-signed with the UFC. Just looked that up there. So, yeah. Lots of red flags in the Frankie Edgar corner, but you still can't pick Cub Swanson to win a fight against Frankie Edgar when we've seen this fight go down before and we've seen how it goes. So I'll be sitting back and just watching and seeing what goes on, but I have to pick Frankie Edgar. If I was to sit here and pick Cub Swanson, so I'm going to have to pick Frankie Edgar, even though I think there's so many things just it's not in the background, which is quite hard for a fighter to really come through and kind of fight. And it's interesting to see if Frankie Edgar's been sparring as well. Hopefully he hasn't been sparring.
I doubt it. It's not. I think it's more just pad work, drilling, drill. He's been in that many sparring sessions now over time. He doesn't need to spar that much.
Yeah.
Look at, like, Robbie Lawler said it. I've done thousands of sparring rounds.
Yeah.
It's just my timings. Drill my pad work, get my timings. I'm good. And I think that's the same with Frankie now. We probably got to that point where spar less, technique is the key. Like, especially with Mark Henry, he'll be technique, drill, combo.
Yeah.
And it sounds awful, but the combos that they worked on in the Ortega fight, they probably can transfer that onto this one because they didn't get to use them all, if you know what I mean. So probably that'll be all right. But even still, I don't think you'll see a lot of stand-up battles in this one. I think it'll be Frankie playing it safe, but just being, I know what I'm good at. I know what I can do. I'm always going to be good at wrestling. I'll get you down. I'll keep you down, and I'll get my 3 rounds, and I'll get a win, and then he'll have a break. He'll have a little bit of time off, and then come back. I'd like to see Frankie see if he can get down to 135. I really do. Like, he said he could do it ages ago. I want to see Frankie try 135 if he can make it. If he's fit enough and healthy enough, I'd like to have a little break it down to 135. That dude would be amazing at 135. He'd be a great addition. Even for a little bit, even for like 2 years, 135, if he can make it. But yeah, I'll probably go, again, Frankie 3 rounds. But the main event will. Whew, I think he's come back a bit too early as well, Edson Barboza, but whatever. Again, it's a card of early comebacks, but Edson Barboza against Kevin Lee. Whew, man, like, Edson Barboza, just what do you say about this man? He's an animal. He's fighting a guy who's just like a Khabib, in a way that he's a very good grappler, is what Kevin Lee is. Kevin Lee can take a bit of a hit to get in, to get you down. And when he gets you down, Kevin Lee is a strong-ass wrestler. He will pin you down. He will slowly get into submissions, and he's got good submissions. Kevin Lee is a good submission artist. Like, people don't rate it enough. I think they don't really notice it enough. But, man, he'll get you back, and you're going to sleep. Like, he's got fair few chokes now in that position. Man, Kevin Lee's a monster. Do you know what I mean? He's like that Tony Ferguson fight. You know, that, like, he technically should have not had that fight with that staph infection, but he pushed through it. Now he hasn't got the staph infection. Now he's fully fit. We know what Kevin Lee can do. I think this is Kevin Lee's opportunity to get a win over someone like Barboza in the fashion that I think we know he can. Get Barboza down, do what Khabib did. You know what Barboza's kryptonite is. Barboza's no way. There is no way he's done enough work in the time between the Khabib fight and this fight to stop what Kevin Lee's going to bring to the table. There's no way. I just think you've got to avoid You've got to be close to Barboza. Barboza wants space. He wants enough space to throw a kick. That's all Barboza wants. He gets enough room. He throws little combos and then whacks a kick in. That's all he needs. You close that range, you close out Barboza's game. End of discussion. It's as simple as that. There's three ranges in fighting. There's close, where you're touching, kind of grappling, kind of underhooks battle. Then you've got the telephone box, and then you've got the telephone box is where you're just punching. You're just standing there, toe to toe, rock 'em, sock 'em. And then you've got your Barboza range, your kicking range, your combinations of your hands, the line your kicks, you're keeping them just. That's where Barboza wants to be. This is where Kevin wants to be. And Kevin just needs to get right up there, right in his face. 5 rounds, grind him, just keep it on him. I would not be shocked if Kevin Lee, though, got the submission, because Kevin goes for it. Khabib didn't. Khabib does, but doesn't. He doesn't overly exert himself to go for that submission, Khabib. He's happy just to own you for 5 rounds in second gear. That's what Khabib's just happy to do. Kevin Lee, though, he will fight for that submission. I could see Kevin Lee submit Barboza. Maybe even again, rear naked choke, get on top, get half guard, make Barboza turn with a couple of shots and then get his back and choke him out. But I'm definitely going Kevin Lee. Probably later rounds, maybe 4 or 5 submission. How do you see this fight going, bro?
I love the fight. I think that Barboza, even though he's coming off a tough loss, I think his stock actually rose up for the fact that he showed that he's got a lot of heart. He took a shit ton of punishment in that fight, and he kept on coming in that 3rd round. But he realised in that 1st round he wasn't going to beat this guy, not unless he caught him with a massive strike. 3 months, literally 12, 13 weeks since that last fight. He's back in again. Now, it wasn't like a really bad knockout or anything, but he absorbed a lot of punishment for 15 minutes of that fight, and that's going to take something away from me as a fighter. I just think that I've already said this to you. I'm not really saying it to anybody else, but I think Kevin Lee's the guy who could potentially beat Khabib. Sorry, Kevin Lee can beat Kevin Lee. Can beat Khabib Nurmagomedov. I think he's got a game where he definitely strike with Khabib, and I think once they get to the grappling, I don't think he initially stops the grappling exchanges, but I think he can give him problems in there as well. I think he could potentially get him down. So Kevin Lee's got to get in close. He's got to really get his respect early and try and, because you know what Barboza's going to do. He's going to want to keep him outside, pepper with leg kicks, catch you as you're coming forward, like the Dariush fight. He wants fighters like what Dariush did. Come forward. That means you're going to take the full brunt of his power. And Kevin Lee has got to do that, but he's got to do it really well where he can get into the clinch. If he gets into a clinch, I see him muscling heads into the ground. I don't see any Barboza stopping him getting down. I see him getting back to his feet potentially a couple of times, but I don't see him stopping Kevin Lee from potentially getting him down time after time. And once it gets there, I think Kevin Lee's got underrated jiu-jitsu game. I think he's very strong. He's got a good core. I mean, anybody that submits Michael Chiesa, I think's solid down there. He transitions, got the back. He takes the back so well, and he's so strong on there that once he gets you there, you're in deep shit. He can manoeuvre into advanced positions very easily, like he did against Tony Ferguson. Now that might be because Tony was throwing stuff off his back where he has openings to move into those positions. The one thing that's kind of a little bit worrisome is maybe the gas tank of Kevin Lee is something, but both guys, I don't think they've ever went 5 rounds, so it's kind of a new thing for both guys. If I remember off the top of my head, I don't think Barboza's been in the main event, but I'm going to go Kevin Lee. I think, like pretty much like yourself, I think I see him getting takedowns, and I see him advancing position to where he could get a submission if he gets that body triangle. Or I think Khabib's one of those guys where he'll hold a limb and beat you up with it, and he could finish. He just doesn't do it. He goes for a position, can hold a finish. I think Lee's the opposite of that. He will move into position, catch a body triangle, and I think a rear naked choke is the aim of this fight, and try and get him out through there. So I'm going to go Kevin Lee. I'm going to go a 4th round submission victory there, and it's a guy that I like a lot. Betting wise, so
it's going to be good. And that's the fight card. It's going to be sick fight, people. The card is going to be I can't wait for it, honestly. This weekend was a great card. and I think this one's going to be another one. The UFC have done some cracking little cluster of cards at the moment, some brilliant bouts. We're going to go to bets now. So, Will, here we go. There's only a couple of betting lines out at the moment. So here we go. On this is like the average of the betting line. So let's go with Bob. We've already got 3 fights out at the moment. So we've got Barboza and Kevin Lee. So at the moment, on average, you've got your Barbozas around the I want to see like the 120 is the average. It seems to be. There's variables, but on the average, it's about 120 plus 120. Kevin Lee, he is minus. Again, he's on average about minus 135, 140. So that's the odds for that fight. Do you think those are good odds at the moment? Do you think those are standard odds?
I think that it's a little bit high on Lee's side. I think he needs to be a little bit lower, personally. I think like minus 1. I think he was lower than that initially when he came out. I can't remember the number straight off my head. But I do think it's a close fight. So it's like if Kevin Lee can't get Barboza down, then he's going to be in a shit ton of he's going to have a shit ton of problems. And he's going to take a lot of strikes. So I kind of see it more of a pick'em than anything else, personally. I think, but different people see different things. I don't know whether I'm going to bet Kevin. Well, I might bet Kevin Lee, but I think if you're going to bet him, maybe inside the distance is not a bad bet. You're going to get good money on that. But I have seen people bet Edson Barboza as well. So people are going to bet both guys here, and interesting to see where the line ends up when it hits Friday night, early Saturday morning. But I like Kevin Lee personally.
You got Cub Swanson and Frankie odds out. Cub Swanson average plus 180, 170, 180. Frankie minus average about 200, just ish, about 200. Standard kind of. I'm surprised it's that close. I think it's because Frank got knocked out, so I think the circumstances. But and then Corey Anderson, Patrick Cummins. So Corey Anderson is the favourite at the moment at minus 120. Averaging about minus 115, 120 is averaging, and then Patrick Cummins is plus 100. I want to say average, about 105. So that's the odds that we've got. Other than that, any fights on the card you're thinking that might, depending on when the odds come out, that you're looking at, or any parlays that you think might be good that might be worth doing?
There's definitely bets I'm looking at for this card, like Frankie and Cub stay well away. Chase Sherman and Justin Willis, I wouldn't go anywhere near that either. David Branch, if I'm picking, I think he's going to be the underdog in this fight. So I did say at the start of the year, if I'm picking underdogs, I need to bet them. So, but you've got to pick your spots. Brett Johns, I'm really hoping that line stays really. I think it's going to be a close line. He could be the underdog or a very slight favourite. So that's one I'm looking at. Chagas, a guy I'm looking at. I think Aspen Ladd is something. But it's all line dependent and what we get. Parlays, I probably will do one for this card. Just not sure. Like, it's all line dependent. I really wish they, once one event finishes, they would get another line out so we can kind of have a look at it and see where we're going. But I have a few fighters on here I'm looking forward to seeing what the lines are and seeing where we can go from there. So I think it's a better card for betting than it was last week. Last week to me it looked a sketchy card for betting, even though I saw a lot of things like Tony Carlos Jr. I saw him winning via submission.
Yes, I put money. I won on that. Yeah.
Cowboy was another guy that I thought he had definitely jiu-jitsu skills over.
I had Carlos winning. I put money on him winning, and he did. Yeah. And
then there was a couple of other fights that were decent to kind of look at, but I thought it was a tough one. This one, I think there's far more opportunities. Just got to pick your spots properly and see where you go.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the podcast this week. We were plonkers and forgot to ask for your questions. So there was none because I forgot all about it. I only remembered at the start of the podcast. I went, I didn't ask any. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but if you do get any, please throw them this way. Will, any last words before we go?
No, just I think we've got another break, which is really weird considering we had these last 3 weeks have been really solid cards, but they've given us another 3 weeks off, which is I don't mind that because it's around my birthday. So when we're back in May, I have a fight card on the weekend of my birthday, which is pretty badass, and it's a good card as well. UFC 224 in Brazil. So just enjoy the little break because we've got a run of cards. Usman, Ponzinibbio, Till and Thompson, and then your Whittaker against UL too. So we've got a really decent run through the summer where we're going to be churning out loads of predictions and bets and so on for you. So just subscribe, get in touch, and until the next time, we'll see you again.
And there we go. Done, bro. Easy. Piece of piss.